amscene.org brings you DI versus mic recording for guitars and bass. What's the difference? Welcome to our latest explainer, guys. Today, we're untangling what's honestly one of the most persistent, maybe even stubborn, technical debates in the entire studio world. You know the feeling. You put a bass player or a guitarist in front of a recording setup, and boom, you instantly hit this massive fork in the road, right? Are you team real amp, throwing a mic in front of a loud cabinet? Or are you team digital clone, just running a cable straight into your computer? Today, we are breaking down this whole myth that one method is the real way and the other is just some fake shortcut. This explainer, it's basically your ultimate mythbuster and toolkit, all rolled into one, to help you make the right choice for your music. So what's it really about? Well, the fundamental difference between these two approaches basically boils down to two words: control versus commitment. See, DI recording captures the raw electrical signal straight out of your instrument, way before it ever hits a loudspeaker. It gives you, well, ultimate control. But on the flip side, microphone recording, that captures sound actually moving through the air. It records exactly how that electrical signal interacts with the amp, the physical speaker cone, the wood of the cabinet, and yep, even the physical room you're standing in. So that one, it demands ultimate commitment. Okay, let's get slightly technical for just a second. A DI, or direct injection box, converts the unbalanced high-impedance output of your instrument into a balanced, low-impedance signal that your audio interface can actually understand. But practically speaking, think of a DI track as an unfinished canvas. It perfectly captures the player's pure touch, the zing of the strings, and the character of the pickups, but it leaves the final tonal picture completely blank, just waiting for you. Now, if you're an indie artist recording at home, the perks of DI are just massive. The absolute biggest one, control. It's super quiet, totally neighbor-friendly. I mean, you can literally record a blistering guitar solo at 2 a.m. without waking the kids, triggering a noise complaint, or, my personal favorite, picking up your neighbor's barking dog in the background. Plus, because the signal is so pristine, editing the waveform is an absolute breeze. And most importantly, it keeps all your production directions completely wide open while being a super budget-friendly way to start. Actually, makingacene.org frames this DI experience perfectly. So many musicians get super discouraged because, let's face it, a raw electric guitar DI usually sounds kind of sharp, thin, and just weird in your headphones. But as the article points out, that's not because the DI failed. It just hasn't passed through the amp and speaker that normally, smooths out, compresses, and totally reshapes that signal. It's literally just sitting there, waiting for an amp modeler to bring it to life. All right, transitioning over to microphone recording. Now we are dealing with a completely different beast, capturing actual sound moving through the air. When you stick a mic in front of an amp, that speaker, and the cabinet, they aren't just delivery systems anymore. They become massive tone-shaping elements. The mic hears the amp violently pushing air, the wood physically resonating, and the sound waves bouncing off your walls. That whole combined physical interaction is exactly what makes a mic'd recording feel so incredibly alive. But, and there's always a but, that magic comes with some intense risks. The risk of commitment. See, microphones hear absolutely everything, period. If your room has terrible acoustics, the mic hears it. If a massive dump truck drives by outside, or a floorboard vibrates, or your AC suddenly kicks on, all of that gets permanently baked right into your tone. You need the physical space, you need permission to make a ton of noise, and you have to accept that once you hit record, you can't easily undo a harsh-sounding speaker or a lazy mic placement later on.
Section 2, the microphone arsenal. Choosing your tone shaper. So if you are going to commit to moving air, you really need to know your tools, according to makingacene.org. First up, dynamic mics. Guys, these aren't just the cheap option. They are highly focused problem solvers that deliver massive punch and reject a ton of bad room noise. Then you've got condenser mics. These are amazing at capturing high-frequency detail and the fast, snappy speed of the strings, making them absolutely stellar for acoustic clarity. And finally, ribbon mics. These beauties are famous for their sheer weight and smoothness. They are basically magic for softening the harsh, spiky edges of a loud electric guitar amp to give you this gorgeous, natural mid-range.
And here's a wild thing about mics. Mic placement is literally the very first equalizer you use, way before you even press record. Seriously, moving a microphone just 1 single inch changes absolutely everything. Pointing it directly at the center of the speaker cone, that gives you an aggressive bite and tons of high-frequency energy. But slide it just a bit over to the edge of the cone, and bam, the sound instantly becomes warmer and way less aggressive. It's crazy.
So right now, you're probably thinking, well, why not just use both? I'll just record the DI and the microphone at the exact same time. And honestly, it's a brilliant idea. But it brings up a really crucial question. Why do two great tracks sometimes sound thin, hollow, or just flat out terrible when you play them together? The big culprit here, phase and timing. Think about it. The DI signal travels through a wire and hits your computer almost instantly. Boom, it's there. But the microphone signal? It has to physically wait for the speaker to push the air across the room and into the mic capsule. That tiny, tiny fraction of a millisecond delay means the two waveforms don't perfectly line up anymore. When you combine them, those out-of-sync frequencies can actually cancel each other out. It creates this hollow, swishy, comb-filtered sound that just totally ruins your tone. Don't panic, though. To fix these phase problems, here is a super practical troubleshooting method. First off, match the volume levels of both tracks so you can hear them equally. Second, listen in mono. Seriously, doing this makes phase issues way more obvious. Third, try flipping the polarity inversion switch, sometimes called the phase switch, on your preamp or in your software. If it still sounds weird and hollow, step 4 is to visually zoom way into your digital timeline and literally nudge the microphone track earlier by tiny, microscopic amounts. Just keep nudging until suddenly the bass becomes super solid, punchy, and fully aligned. You'll hear it click into place. So the really cool takeaway here is that you don't actually have to choose just one method, all thanks to a process called reamping. Basically, reamping is when you take a perfectly clean DI track that you already recorded, you send it back out of your audio interface, run it into a real, physical amplifier, and then record that amp with a microphone. It literally gives you the best of both worlds. You can capture a flawless, totally stress-free performance in your bedroom today, in your pajamas, and then go rent a killer-sounding studio room to blast it through a huge amp next week. Section 3, the indie artist reality. Making the right choice for your song. Now, making the right choice is heavily driven by the specific instrument you're recording. Take bass, for example. Makingascene.org notes that bass frequently works best as a hybrid. A clean DI delivers this incredibly deep, polite stability and low-end definition, without rattling your windows and exciting terrible room resonances. But by blending in a mic'd amplifier on top of that, you add that crucial mid-range growl, the speaker compression, and the gritty physical character that a naked DI just doesn't have. For acoustic guitars, though, the whole strategy completely shifts. Look, plugging an acoustic directly into a DI just captures the piezo pickup. That gives you a very clear attack, sure, but it totally lacks air, body, resonance, and, well, realism. It sounds kind of plasticky, so you definitely want a microphone. But a pro tip, don't place it directly over the sound hole. That is way, way too bass heavy. Instead, aim your mic right where the neck meets the body of the guitar. That spot gives you the absolute most balanced portrait of the wood and the strings. If you're just starting out and feeling overwhelmed, just follow this foolproof loop. Number 1, always capture a clean DI as your safety net. Always. Number 2, add a dynamic mic close to the speaker if you want that real amp vibe. Number 3, check that blend in mono to catch any of those sneaky phase issues we talked about. And number 4, document everything. Seriously, snapping a quick photo of your amp knobs and mic placement on your phone is exactly what allows your creativity to survive a lunch break without losing your perfect tone. And please remember this. Some musicians treat microphone recording as authentic and DI recording as some kind of cheating shortcut. But guys, there is absolutely no trophy for using the harder method. None. Authenticity comes entirely from the emotion and the energy of the performance itself. It definitely doesn't come from the number of glowing vintage tubes you have in a fancy studio photograph. So here is the bottom line to take away from this explainer today. Choose DI when you need quiet control, super easy editing, and the absolute flexibility to reamp it all later. Choose microphones when the physical interaction of the real room and the amp's character are totally non-negotiable for the track. Grab a dynamic mic for that focused punch, and grab a condenser for sweeping, crystal clear detail. But above all else, just ensure that whichever method you pick, it serves the emotional scale of the specific song you are recording. The independent artist's real advantage isn't having $1 million in expensive gear, it's having the total freedom to build a recording process that actually works for you. So own your choices and own your masters. Ask yourself right now, what part of your sound do you need to capture today, and what choices can you afford to leave open for tomorrow? Make sure you check out the other great articles and resources on makingascene.org, the place the indie artist goes to build the new music industry.